Hello buddy, Squid Taco here. I hope you're having a great day today. And today, you may be wondering what this is, but this is basically a how-to guide. I'm gonna run through the rules and stuff you need to know in order to play my card game Linora's Fate. And let me know how good it is. Might have to release another video depending on if there's stuff I forgot or whatnot. But anyways, let's get into the rule book. So, to start off, you have a main deck, which is basically, it needs to consist of at least 40 cards and at most 50. So basically your main deck will have cantrips, which are these purple cards, counters, and creatures. And if you want, there can be an equip in there. Let me quickly shuffle through, see if I can find one. No, I don't think there is any equips in this one. Equips will be like a gray card, basically. So your main deck will consist of creatures, cantrips, counters, equips. And then I don't have a side deck here, but a side deck will consist of at most 15 cards that you will be able to switch out from your main deck. After you play the first match of a game, you can actually go through your deck and side out certain cards from cards in your side deck. And you can only have 15 at most in your side deck. And they can range from things that you could put in your main deck or legendary deck, which actually, let's get into the legendary deck. Legendary deck will be special creatures that do not go into the main deck. They are in a deck of their own, which is the legendary deck, which is off to the side. And this will range, and you can have 15 legendary deck creatures at most. So you can have from 0 to 15 legendary creatures. It's up to you. And then, well, let me get into the layout, basically. So, basically, main deck goes over here onto the right bottom side. And then your legendary deck goes on the left bottom side. If you've played Yu-Gi-Oh!, this is very similar to how they set up their extra deck and main deck. And also, basically, if you played Yu-Gi-Oh!, this will be easy to understand. Cantrips and counters will go here on the bottom. You can have 5 at most. There will also be 5 creature zones up top, up here. Above the main deck will be your graveyard. Above the legendary deck will be the forbidden zone. Now, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Will normally have a field zone here. That's not how this game plays. This game does not have a field zone. It has a forbidden zone. The forbidden zone is basically a banish in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you played Yu-Gi-Oh! So basically, if something says forbidden, not forbidden, forgotten zone. My bad. I hope I haven't been saying forbidden zone. It's forgotten zone. Forgotten zone's right here. Basically, if a card says send to the forgotten zone, you put it here. The forgotten zone is currently, and I don't plan on it, but don't take my word for it because it might change. There are no cards to recover anything from the forgotten zone because once it's forgotten for good. Okay, so let's get into what you can do, basically. So, how this works is that basically counters, which are these red cards, there are 2 different types of counters. There's an E counter and just a normal counter. E counters will stay on the field after activation until said otherwise, or they are destroyed. Counters will just, once they are used, they immediately go back into the grave. E counters and counters, no matter which one, can only be activated during your opponent's turn. The only difference between a counter and an E counter is that an E counter will, upon activation, it will continue its effect, regardless of whose turn it is, but it can only be activated on your opponent's turn. That is the difference between a counter and a cantrip. Cantrips are these purple cards. These purple cards can be activated only on your turn. So basically, you can... And the same thing goes for E counters. E cantrips. They're environmental cantrips. Basically, upon activation, of an E cantrip, they will stay on the field until said otherwise or destroyed, and their effects will be in effect, basically. But something you can do is that you can, so what you need to do in order to be able to activate a counter card, either E counter or normal counter, is you have to set it on your turn. You have to set it, you have to put it face down, right here. You can put a cantrip or E cantrip face down as a bluff. You cannot activate it on your opponent's turn though, but you can set it down as a bluff to where your opponent may think you have something that they don't want to basically fall for. So, but once you set it, you can still activate it on your turn. Just, you know, if you set it and then pass to your opponent, it cannot be activated until it is your turn again. So once it's your turn, then you can activate. And then let's get into equips. So we're going to use one of my favorite cards here, Joyous Floof. And then, well, I'm not... Give me 1 sec, let me see if there is a equip, and I just wasn't paying attention. No, there is. Alright. Give me 1 second. Here is an equip. I know it's not sleeved, my bad, I don't have enough sleeves. Anyways, how you use an equip is that you will put it under the creature. It does not go here, it does not go in the cantrip and counter zone. It goes here, under the creature. You can have a max of 3 equips on a creature at once. You cannot exceed that number. You cannot go over 3 unless there is a card that says so. Haven't made one yet, but I might. But anyways, as it stands now, 3 equips on 1 monster only. You cannot go higher than that. You can go lower than 3, but you cannot go higher than 3. And so basically, that's how an equip will work, is that you put it under the card, the desired creature that you want it to be, you want that creature to have that effect or whatever the equip does. And then legendary deck creatures, there's only one so far, one type. It is called a unison creature. A unison creature is like, if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh, it is kind of like a fusion, except the difference is that you need, the creatures need to be on the field. And basically, so they need to be on the field before you can summon. And there's a few more rules that are about to come up, basically. I'll explain a little bit, basically. But you just remember, you just need these 2, because this says 1 poofer and 1 floof. That's floof, that's a poofer. See, it even says so, poofer. You just need these 2 on the field in order to get this one out. And then there's some other extra rules that I'm gonna go into right now, actually. So, alright, so how the game works is basically you will have a pair of dice. These dice will be used to count your Evo gems. Evo gems is something that you will need to use in order to do a unison summon or a extra summon. An extra summon, if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh, is basically a special summon except a little bit different. So when you start off, well, I'll get into that a bit later, but basically, let's say I have 3 Evo gems, and let's say I use Joyous Floof. Basically, you're allowed 1 basic summon per turn. And a basic summon, if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh, is basically a normal summon. So, basic summon, Joyous Floof has an effect where basically, when it is basic summoned, you can extra summon a creature. Here's where the dice come in, the Evo gems. Because I have 3, I use 1 Evo gem to extra summon from hand, deck, or graveyard. And so, because I'm extra summoning from the deck, I will put him there. And then, what you can do now is legendary deck summoning requires 2 Evo gems. Because I only have 2, I now get rid of all my Evo gems, send these two to the grave, and get out my Unison legendary deck creature. And that is how that works. Now, I should have explained this better, but you can basic summon a creature. You can basic summon a creature that is level 4 or lower, which this is the level 1. Level 4 or lower without sending any creatures to the grave. If it is a level 5 or 6, you have to send 1 to the grave. If it is level 7 or higher, you have to send 2. But basically, when you basic summon a creature, you can basic summon it face down this in protection, or you can face down like this in battle. I forget the positions. I think protection position, battle position. That is how that you can do that face down. But if you want them face up, they have to be in face up battle position. You cannot do that. You cannot basic summon them like that. You can basic summon them like this, this, or this, but not this. And so basically, if you want to use a creature's effect, they have to be face up. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have to be face up in order for their effect to be used. Alright, now to continue on the summoning, let's say I have 3 Evo Gems again. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm a basic summon. I'm going to use my only basic summon during... crap. I'm going to use my only basic summon during the preparation phase. And so then I'm going to use his effect. I'm going to get rid of my 1 Evo Gem. So it's going to, well, 1 of the Evo Gems, so it'll go down to 2 to extra summon a creature from my deck. And, well, I guess, let's just say Fire Floof. I get Fire Floof. Then, because I have Robo Floof has an effect where he can extra summon himself from your hand. So what I can do is I can use another to extra summon him from the hand. Basically, what this part of the video to show you is to show you that you can extra summon as many times as you have Evo Gems to spend. There are like 3 types of summons. There's extra summons, where extra summoning from hand, deck, or grave uses 1 Evo Gem. But extra summoning from the legendary deck requires 2 Evo Gems. And basically, so you have extra summon, basic summon, and then you actually have another summon called a free summon. Free summon is basically a summon where it does not require an Evo Gem. You do not need to spend an Evo Gem for a free summon. Basically, as the name is, as said by the name, it is free. You freely summon it without having to use an Evo Gem. So it is the most powerful form of summoning in Linora's Fate.